What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. We have our new guest for episode 6. We got Angel. Angel, how's it going, my friend?
Good, man. How are you guys doing?
Angel, good. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Originally, I was born in Kansas with Toto and Dorothy because my dad was in the military. But originally, I'm from Puerto Rico. I was raised over there since a little kid, and then I moved to the States in 2004.
And now, obviously, I've known you through music. We both share a passion for music. We played together, jammed together, recorded together. Tell us a little bit about what brought you to music in the first place when you were growing up in Puerto Rico.
Absolutely. So late 90s, early 2000s, to tell you the truth, Puerto Rico is really more like reggaeton and rap. It's like huge over there. Like if you see a lot of rock people down there, they might be more like in the old school kind of rock, like the 80s with like Metallica and stuff like that. But for me, it was mostly 1999, the summer of 1999. I went with my uncle and my auntie and my mom to a beach resort. And they had the cable box, okay? Back in the day, they had the cable box that you can kind of like, try to get the pay-per-view and stuff like that. And that's when Woodstock 99 was on. So I watched the whole entire concert of Woodstock 99, and that's when I just completely fell in love with rock music and all that. And that same week I just went and got myself a Yamaha guitar, and from then it was just been like that.
Was there any artist in particular that you remember watching?
99, wow. I would say I remember seeing Limp Bizkit, Metallica, Red Hot Chili Peppers, oh my goodness, Korn, all those bands that were coming in there. Even like the bands that were kind of like starting, like Creed was starting at that time as well, Offspring. So all of those kind of like genres kind of like exploded on me, and I was like, oh man, this is pretty cool.
So around that time you picked up guitar, how soon after that were you starting to like sing?
Oh, wow. Power chords kind of started to go in, and then I had two of my great friends in the same subdivision that I lived in. Julian played bass, and then Frankie, he played drums. So all of a sudden, I took him the guitar, and we were like, well, we need a singer. And they were just kind of pointed at me, both of them, and they're like, what the heck? I don't know. I can't sing. So we just kind of started like that, and all of a sudden, I kind of like started getting the groove out of it. And then I started listening to bands like Incubus at that time and Hoobastank. And then kind of like, I was like, ooh, these kind of guys, their vocals. Oh, I kind of like that melody and that range of music. And that's when I kind of like, let me try to do something like these guys and go with the flow.
So you started...
That's very similar to our influences too. We kind of grew up with the same exact music.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's what got us started. Creed was a big one.
Yeah, Creed, of course. Scott Stapp, Brandon Boyd. They were like my biggest guys back then for vocals. Yeah.
I've always had an affinity for like the melodic, like alt rock scene. It was really popular in the 90s and early 2000s, and the records just started to really come to life. Like computers and just the digital age started to grow with the music industry. So you really start to see a huge evolution in the way records started to sound in the 90s through the early 2000s. And it just completely changed the music industry, the way it sounded. And obviously that's where most of us grew up in. That's our age range. That was the sweet spot for us. So Hoobastank, Incubus, like some of those bands are just really close to the heart,
Even like Linkin Park, with the rap and the singing, POD,
metal,
oh my goodness, I was like new metal kind of started coming around that time with like Papa Roach and stuff like that. They had a little bit of hip hop flow on it. Man,
it was like when you started seeing like hard rock mixed in with like electronic parts and components.
Oh man, so beautiful.
Yeah,
I wish that they can bring that back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know it's kind of like almost 20 years later, but it would be awesome to bring it back. But like seeing a guy like Van Halen's son, Mammoth WVH, what the kind of music he's bringing now. I'm like, man, we need that kind of music now. Like, please bring it,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you're starting to see like a resurgence of like the 90s grunge stuff, and then some of the later 90s transition to the new metal. Like even in some of the latest movies that we're seeing, like the new Batman,
Yes,
what is it?
yes.
The Nirvana intro, like that's really
So
cool,
good.
and it just gives you chills, like when you listen to that and how it ties in with the music and all these shows that are coming out now that draw back to that time frame, or even the 80s, right? There's with Stranger
Absolutely.
Things and whatnot. So that's
Yes.
cool that we're starting to see the resurgence and bring back some of that music to maybe younger audiences and whatnot to enjoy and appreciate that stuff that haven't had that chance to go
Correct.
through it.
Yes.
One of my
Yeah.
favorite bands is called Small Pools, and they're like an alternative rock band, and they have a lot of 80s like sound to it, and I just love it, man. It's great. You should check it out. Small Pools.
Absolutely, man. Sounds epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, being able to like blend that synth stuff with some of the more modern like rock music. I mean that's always really cool to
I
see.
love it.
Bands doing that, and yeah, I was always impressed when we were to play live, like, and Kyle would be busting out the keyboard and some synth while he's playing bass at the same time. I was like,
Yes.
oh, this is so cool.
Yes.
It's so much fun. It is. It's
No,
stressful
it's-
and challenging, but it's so much fun.
No, I mean, it's some of the things that, like kind of like right now, getting into my age, I'm like, man, it would be awesome to bring like really funky and fun 80s or 90s songs that were like kind of like really poppyish or something, and just kind of like twist them a little bit and just bringing them out into like a little bit of rock on it. Man, that would be epic, bro.
Dude, I love where this conversation is going already. I'm getting super excited about this.
I feel a really cool song coming on, but
Yeah.
I'm really curious. I don't think I ever got the history between Carrie and you, Angel, of like how you guys met and got into music together. I don't know how long that was ago, and I only know the recent developments and stuff you guys have been working on. So I'd be curious about that.
You want me to take it, or you want to take it, brother?
Hey, you go. You're the guest. You do the heavy lifting. I got to write a song
I'm
later.
just gonna go for. I'm just gonna go with whatever I remember for a fact. I know there was a time that I was. Go ahead, Carrie.
I was gonna say I can't remember exactly how we met, but I remember when we met. I don't remember if it was like a Craigslist thing or a band mix thing, or I
was a
remember
band
meeting at the
tryout,
church.
Something like that. Yes, we met at the church. Correct. So I know I was huge, like singing at church and stuff like that. And I wanted to, I had actually gotten out of the scene, kind of like playing in bars and stuff like that. And was getting like my faith kind of like grasping in that time. And I knew that Carrie and Kyle, I went to one of the churches that they were in. And we kind of like played together. And I know that there's a video somewhere in YouTube with us
There
playing.
is.
Like I know,
Yep.
it's so.
I remember I was wearing an orange T-shirt, the
like
Stinky's Pub
yes,
shirt. My shirt said Stinky's Pub. I remember that shirt
because I brought my friend Sammy with me, right? Guitar player Samuel. Man, you guys. I mean, you guys have to have him on the podcast one day. He is doing amazing, bro. Sammy's been playing flamenco all over the world, and that's pretty much, I know he was there with us, and we played with the video. But I know the video somewhere in YouTube, but that's the only thing I probably remember from those times. And I know after that, Carrie helped me to record some of my songs, like Carrie, the song Carrie, Carrie. I know, and he helped me record that, and that was cool days for sure, man. But that was like, whoo, like I don't know, 15
long time
years ago,
ago.
maybe,
Yeah.
15, maybe, a little more than that, maybe, I don't know, somewhere in there.
For sure. And then I remember recording the songs. I think it had gone a couple years before, since we had talked, and then you hit me up maybe about a year and a half ago, and you were telling me about a kid at your church who had passed away, and you just had a really passionate story about everything that the family was going through, and you had the song that you wanted to do, and I helped you record the song, and that kind of just sparked like, oh, let's work on a record. And I'll let you take it away if you want to talk about the album that we've been working on for the last year and a half.
Yes. So, I mean, a short story. I mean, one of my students from church, he passed away 2 years ago on May of 2020, and that's when he kind of like the passion of music kind of came back to me, and that's when Dear Fallen came out. And right after that, a lot of people were giving me a lot of great feedback, not just in the perspectives of, I'm sorry about Noah's, passing away and stuff, but more about, man, it's been a long time since you've done something for music. And yeah, because, I've been just kind of like, being at church or just, being with the family and stuff. And a lot of good feedbacks from it and from the recording and from the song that it just ignited that again. I was like, oh man, it will be awesome just kind of go back and do some more new music. And I've reached out to Carrie. Hey man, I've gotten so much great feedback about this, man. It will be awesome to do more music. Are you down for it? And he was like, yeah man, let's go for it, bro. So I'm just so excited for the incredible things that we've been doing. Like basically I've just been taking some songs with the acoustic guitar and just kind of toss them to Carrie, and he just, oh man, let's do this. Oh, so it's just evolved in this beautiful production, and man, I just can't wait to put it out there, man. It's just, it's amazing.
So some of these songs, there was Dear Fallen. Now, did these other songs follow that, or do you kind of have some from years ago, or just was Dear Fallen the catalyst for you to continue writing and creating some of these originals that you've been working on?
Yeah, Dear Fallen was the structure, was the seed that really ignited all these other branches on this beautiful year and a half, just working with Carrie and creating these songs. And the biggest aspect is, we were talking about it a few minutes ago, I want to bring back the roots where it all started for me, those late 90s, early 2000s that just brought the energy of music in me. And I would like to use that, but build the platform to giving people good lyrics. Living on a world that it's all about killing. Even it's insane just looking at some of the games that my kids play. It's like shooting and catastrophes and stuff. It's like, man, we used to play like Mario Brothers and Zelda. Where did that go from? Like playing Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong Racing in some kid's house, with the 64. Like, where did all that go? And it's the same thing with music. I felt that it's gone downhill, and the perspectives that everything is okay and cursing and stuff like that. So I just thought, I'd like to bring something from those days, and maybe for a new generation to listen to. Hey, this is what, was going on 20 years ago. Like some of those kids now that, are kind of coming up on trying to figure it out, what they kind of like in music. It's like so cool. Oh my God, this is what these guys were listening to 20 years ago. Wow, this is great music. So it's kind of like bringing back that perspective. That's why the biggest influence right now that I've been listening to is Mammoth WVH. I mean, his music is just passionate. Yeah. He even talks about, it's like if you dig into his lyrics, he's talking about like his weight issues and some other things that, in life, and his dad and stuff like that, what kind of life he had with his dad. And it's beautiful to hear those lyrics, but also beautiful to hear them with lyricist. Music, with the music that comes from those genres that he was listening to. Not so much of what his dad was doing, because it's completely opposite to what Eddie was doing, but what he was listening to, and he's kind of putting it together. So that's, all the music coming out, Bo, is pretty much that kind of style,
right?
Of late 90s, early 2000s, just trying to bring it back for new kids and new audience to listen to.
Put a little bit of a positive spin. Yes. On a genre that's been notoriously depressing.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely, 100%.
And I got a question. So, like the first time you're sending a guitar, acoustic guitar track with you singing over it to Carrie. Walk us through the first time that you listened to what he sent you back, and I'm just curious, like that transition between. An acoustic guitar. You talked about bringing like the power of music and whatnot into those lyrics and bringing that modern vibe to it with good lyrics. I'm curious what your take was the first time that happened, and then obviously some other subsequent tracks that he's worked on with you.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm jiggering here because if I could get out of my chair, throw the headphones down, I would just be kind of running around and going wild. Like, that's how I felt. Basically running all over the streets. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is epic. Like, mind blowing, brother. It's like, you try to put, it's just like that. I put the seed on it, on just, hey, Carrie, this is the kind of song I have. And then he will ask me questions. So what kind of vibe are you looking for? And I was like, just kind of this, but you do your thing. He's the producer. He's the one doing it. And man, when he just comes back, it's like, bro, like I'm just playing Punch Out or something like that. He's like Mike Tyson, and he's just like slapping me in the face with epicness. All right. It's like, boom, 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 boom. I felt like the guy in Punch Out just getting blown away, by Koopa or one of those guys. But technically, it was like, oh my goodness, this is a masterpiece. You're taking it from one way to the other. Like, should I say about the cover? I mean, we've been working on a cover for like an 80s song, right? And it's like I did it a specific way. Go ahead, Kerry.
I was gonna say, yeah, maybe
I
we
just
can
want to make
play...
sure if I can say it or not.
No, it's okay. I think it would be cool to even maybe play in the middle of the podcast, like cut right here and just give them a little sample.
Just a tiny bit.
It can cut you like a knife if the gift becomes the fire on a wire between will and what will be. She's a maniac on the floor, and she's dancing like she's never danced before.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's the song Maniac. I mean, it's like, hey, Carrie, I would like to do a cover, but I want to bring an 80s pop, funky, wild song, because this is a wild song, all right? And just bring it into the rock vibe, like kind of like what some other bands like Disturbed did, like, and other bands that have done kind of like, change Alien and Farm with Smooth Criminal, or Fall Out Boy with the song, another song from Michael Jackson. Like, I wanted to bring that kind of vibe, and it's like, okay, man, let's do it. And boom, I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, I even told him, like, if I ever do a music video, I would like to, like, just kind of, like, dress up like an 80s guy and go into a gym with, like, a boombox and just start going nuts in it. Like, it will be kind of, like, funny. I don't know.
Yeah, Carrie did share that song with us, and I was just blown away.
I love the song.
What you guys what he had put together for it too. I mean, that was just so cool. So we'll definitely have to play a snippet of that for the podcast.
Absolutely, man.
And I can't take all the credit.
There's another one.
I was gonna say I can't take all the credit. Bo did some drums and Kyle did some bass for me, so it's been a collaborative process for sure.
But there was one song in particular
guys...
that was like so. You mentioned epic, obviously, but there's like orchestral stuff in there. There's just like a whole separate section of the song, and that's just, I was like, whoa. There's a lot going on.
Man, that is your man, Kerry Adams, right there. I mean, you guys, thank you so much for just putting all the music together. But this guy, bro, it's like he gets into his own mindset, and then he starts kind of thinking about left and right. Even when I went to record my vocals, he's like, Angel, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? I was like, oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do this. Let's do this. Like, it's his mind. Whew, it's unbelievable, bro. I'm just hands down, brother.
We are well aware of that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I've grown up with them, so. So I'm getting 80s rock. Like, that's like, I'm really loving this. This whole setup.
Yeah. There's also a couple things I wanted to, if you were comfortable talking about, but there's been some really big highs for you, and maybe some scary lows that have been happening recently. You finished your master's degree, right? And then if you want to talk about what your daughter's been going through, I'd like to hear about that.
Absolutely. Just trying to finish a master's degree, trying to, get my life together. I've been doing the same kind of work for 13 years. I'm a neurodiagnostic technician. I do nerve conduction studies and EEGs. And, just because of the kids and the platform and the house vibe, I just wanted to try to get something, that could probably help me to, for work from home one day or something like that. Yeah, but my daughter just went through surgery on her back, scoliosis. She had been battling with this for a few years now, and fortunately, her curvature, it got to a percentage that the doctor said we gotta cut and take care of that, because the problem is with aging, it can start to mess up with organs and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a little rough 2022 for us and the family, but she's doing great, man. She did not get that from me.
Good.
100%. She got that from my
Yeah.
wife's family. But man, she's doing great. Therapy has done great for her, and I'm just completely blessed for what God has done.
Awesome, man.
That's great to hear.
Good to hear that.
So I'm curious about the finishing up your masters and everything, and repeat again what you said you do for work, because I think that's the first time I'm hearing it. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a wild name. It's a neurodiagnostic technician.
Okay, so
it's I do testings for the neurologists. So anything like nerve conduction studies, EEGs for the brain. I've done VNGs for vertigo before, and other kind of testings in there. But those are the cup of teas.
So what got you into that?
Oh man, it's just a blessing in disguise, really. Another blessing in life. I was kind of like, when I moved from Puerto Rico, I was kind of trying to, assess myself and get my feet wet. And, I was able to find one of my friends from church that, hey, one of our doctors is really looking for a guy that can probably do these tests. And he works in the Plant City area, so there's a lot of Spanish community there. So he wanted somebody that also could speak Spanish, and man, it's just a blessing. I give it all the credit to my great friend and Dr. Thomas DiGeronimo, who I worked for a long time, and he was able to get me in and help me out and get all my certifications and stuff. And 13 years later,
Nice.
man, I'm still doing my work, and just another blessing in my footsteps.
That must be fascinating to work with, the synapses in the brain and the connections in the nerve system and all the different problems and phenomenon that go along with that. I just can imagine.
Yeah, man, it's fantastic. And even going through my master's degree, it was something that I just did it for my family, for the sake of having that degree in there. And if anything happens, like my daughter having surgery, let's say one of my boys have some sort of issue or something like that, I could be more there for them. Mm-hmm. But I truly can tell you, Bo, I love my work. If I can do it, if I can be the same technician for about 30 years, I will do it, because I love helping people. It's just when you see people and you're able to help them with the diagnosis and then see them transitioning when the doctors help them and stuff like that, bro. It's mind blowing when you do that. When you take a small little step in your life and you're able to help them, even if it's just by talking to them or being just who I am. It's just mind blowing, bro. Very rewarding.
Do you have any like miracle success stories and with you working in the medical field, is there anything that stands out to you?
Well, definitely. There is a patient that really standed out for me, because this guy, I'm not going to say names and stuff, but I saw him a couple of years ago, and he came from Ohio with his wife and his 2 kids, and he came in to be a youth pastor for a church in Brandon. And he came in and he was looking for a second opinion as a neurologist, because neurologists in Ohio had actually told him that he may have ALS. If you guys know what ALS is, Lou Gehrig disease. I mean, it's the worst disease, I think, in humankind, because basically what happens is your nerves start to shut down and your muscles start to just kind of collapse on it. And there's nothing you can do. You start losing, the sense of swallowing food. I mean,
that's what Stephen Hawking had.
Yeah, brother, it's something that I will not want anybody to have, you know, and there's certain cases are really high on the 30s, and this guy's just on his 30s, like Lou Gehrig. I think Lou Gehrig was probably 37 or something like that when he died, and he played baseball for many years. So this guy's coming in, you know, bringing his wife and stuff, and he sat down right there, and I did the nerve conduction study, and then I got the doctor to do the second part, which is an EMG. It's kind of like a little needle part that checks the muscles. I do the first part, which is the electrical part, and all of a sudden, you know, the doctor's doing the test, and he's just looking at me like, this ain't ALS. And then we finished the test, and he asked the guy, who told you you had ALS? And he was like, well, my neurologist in Ohio. And all of a sudden, my doctor's like, bro, you don't have ALS. And he's like, it's like the whole world kind of like shut down for this guy. Like he thought, I have a wife, I have two small kids, I'm moving, I'm taking the step of what God is really telling me to do, and all of a sudden the world, the sun just light up on him, telling him you don't have it. And for as far as I know, the guy's still in Brandon living his life with his family with no problems. I mean, that is a true miracle.
Wow.
See,
That's pretty wild.
That's the story. That's
bro.
the concept right there. I feel like something like just being diagnosed, giving a time limit on life, and then just people's whole perspective changes. I was listening to a podcast the other day. This guy started to develop a growth, and he was told it was a brain tumor, and they said, you know, at best you might have like 5 years to live with this condition, and completely changed his life. He knew that he didn't have time. He started just taking chances. He went out and started doing stand-up comedy, just things that he would never do in real life or in other circumstances. And it turned out to be benign. And he's from Ireland, so he moved down, and now he does like comedy, and
Wow.
you know, he's a small time. Nobody knows who he is, but it was just an interesting story.
The luck of the Irish, man, never fails.
Yeah, so he still has the growth. They haven't removed it, but it's just there as a reminder. But you know, he was given a death sentence, and then you know, thankfully, like the guy you just told us about, that just got a whole new lease on life, and that right there is a great story to try to tell through a song, I feel like.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now we
That kind of reminds me of remember the trilogy of songs we had of what was it? The Darkness, Living Full, and Dying Hollow. There's like a trilogy of like somebody who's had like really misfortunes in their life, coming back from like the brink of suicide, and then getting inspired by a dove to like keep going, you know? So it's like a whole trilogy song of that sort of story. So that kind of reminds me of that.
We brought up a couple of different genres. What are you feeling? Like, what's something we can kind of hone in? We got our interesting concept, I feel like. What do you think would be a genre to kind of put that in perspective, to give that storytelling the best chance to inspire us?
Gary, you got to play flamenco.
No, we'll give Sammy a call and have him do a track for us.
That would be wild.
That would be
There
cool.
you go.
Yes.
How cool would that be?
Absolutely. I don't know. I think the same kind of vibe, you know, with the late 90s, you know, early 2000s, or maybe something more 80s or 90s. It could be kind of cool. I don't know if this song will actually be more kind of like a slow song for you guys.
I don't know. I like
either
the
way, I mean,
Incubus
whatever
and the Hoobastank genre.
Yeah.
Me
I
too.
feel like that would be a really cool fit.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Like Incubus and Hoobastank. Yeah.
And one
Yeah. That
one
would
little
work.
nod to you know, some of the I've been watching some of your covers on YouTube, and one thing that I was really just appreciating is the fact that the first like 5 seconds of most of these videos, you know, you just have this like lightning bolt, you know, catch. So if you're tired and watching and you need your cup of coffee, like you're that dose of coffee, you know, when you're just starting that song out, you grab the audience's attention and you're like, oh, come on, let's go guys, let's do this. And then you just get right into it. So I feel like we have to draw something
Energy.
from that energy in the intro of the song. Has to be like right off the bat, like, you know, hit you with that lightning bolt somehow. And then
Lightning in a bottle.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my feeling. That's my vibe that I got from watching a lot of your videos, and just your personality, I think is just uplifting in that way. And just, come on guys, no matter what's going on, let's do this. Let's go.
Yeah, you are
Yep.
the embodiment
Yeah,
of.
that would be epic.
You're
man.
the embodiment of epic love. It's the perfect name for you.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
That's- that would be, you know, and to tell you the truth, I mean, I always thought, you know, like, I think when we started, I was thinking about just Angel Torres, you know, Angel Torres band or something like that. But the Epic Love came out because I wanted to make something different and bring love to the essence of what really life is all about. You know, that I know that my biggest epic love is my savior, but for a point of anybody that's not into religion or stuff like that, you know, love can be so many things, you know, and why not have that? That's why I was like, you know what? It's all about epic love. It's all about that. It's not just a name for what I'm doing with the music. It's a name for just for life.
It's
itself.
almost its
So,
own
yeah, man,
archetype.
that's
You just created a new archetype.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
epic
It's
love,
its own
dude.
thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm down for it, man. I mean, that kind of, I guess, you know, happy, fun, you know, epic vibe. Yeah, that would be great.
Now, as far as your involvement with the song and everything, how involved do you want to be? Do you want us to do our thing, or do you want to maybe do some singing for us? Maybe a little bit of guitar?
Hey, I'm down for any sing.
Okay.
Sure, whatever you guys want me
Okay.
to do. You know, if you guys, I know, I mean, if you guys want to do it, that's good with me. If you guys want me to be involved, that's cool with me too.
Okay. Yeah, at least at the very minimum, get some harmonies going or something, you know. You got a decent microphone at home, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have. It's somewhere in here, but I got a decent microphone.
Awesome. Well, guys, I think we got our concept for
Homework
the
to
day.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is going to be fun.
Yep.
Angel, I appreciate your time today, and
That's awesome.
we'll get to work, and hopefully we'll, you know, create something that'll make you proud.
Absolutely. I know for a fact that you guys will. And maybe at the end of the video, if we have to do bloopers or something like that, I will record myself running through the rain or something like that, just going wild because the song was epic. How about it?
Okay.
There you go.
Okay,
That's the
sounds
music
good.
video. We got the music video.
There we go.
It's
Yeah.
just Angel sprinting through the rain.
There you go.
Racing a lightning bolt.
That'll be epic.
Yeah.
Carrie, I hope your camera's waterproof.
No.
Or like
that'll
Creed,
be
like
good.
singing in the rain on the roof.
Yeah.
On the roof, like weather. Yeah. My sacrifice was
Sacrifice,
it,
yeah.
right? My sacrifice, I think it was
Yeah.
that video. Yeah, yeah.
Super
with the rain
2000s.
and-
Oh,
Awesome.
yeah, we got ideas for the music video now too. Sweet. Awesome.
All right.
There you go. There
All
you
right,
go.
fellas. We'll go ahead and wrap this up, and we'll meet back up in a few days and see what we got.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Epic.
All right, welcome back to part 2 of episode 6. We decided to call this episode Hypothetical. It started off as Close Call.
Yep.
That was the original name, but we're like, you know what, man? It's such an interesting title for a song and for the episode, so we're calling it Hypothetical. And that's based on the conversation we had with you. We were talking, and, you know, for whatever reason, you brought up the story about the guy that was misdiagnosed and, you know, was basically given a death sentence. And then forever, however long he was thinking about, you know, having his days counting down. And then finally he got a second diagnosis, and it turned out that he was going to be okay. He wasn't going to die. And that was something that really inspired us to write this song called Hypothetical.
Love it.
So Angel,
And
you got a chance to
really
check out the
keyed in
song?
on the
I did, bro. It's so epic, man. That had Linkin Park kind of. Oh my goodness, I'm blown away. You guys know I'm gonna be running one day. rain and stuff for a fact. I'm gonna record myself, all right, on this song. Fantastic, man. I loved it. Each part of it, from the music to the lyrics to the different sounds with the kind of like the hip hop atmosphere on the vocals and the hype. I mean, it's fantastic, man. And more with how with Chester kind of dying and stuff like that, man. This is a really good song to kind of put into the perspective of somebody that is giving a second chance on it, hoping that what Chester had to go through, like it's something that if somebody listens to this song and they're kind of like on those kind of thoughts and perspectives the same way as my good friend Noah, what he was going through. I think this is something positive that hopefully somebody that listens to it can actually get that call on making the right decisions and following their heart to a better perspective and not falling into that kind of trap of, hey, we got one life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited for the song, but I'm mostly excited to see what it does with the viewers out there. So
Yeah, same.
that's my take.
And it seems that Kerry was a bit hypothetical about his beard.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
True. I didn't even think about. I
you
didn't
guys
even notice
noticed
that. Was that some
Yeah.
DC magic? He added a fake.
I mean,
fake facial hair?
as much as I
Took
like,
it away.
as much as I like looking intimidating and homeless, I decided because of the heat and everything to shave my beard. I come out of the bathroom with my beard shaved, and my son says, "You got the jawline of a Cinnabon." That's the first thing he said to
Oh
me.
man.
Good one.
I'm like,
Oh,
thank
man.
you. Appreciate that. And then continued to
Wow.
paint, more of a detailed picture.
I think the song got under your skin, and you thought you might, potentially get Lyme disease underneath that beard, so you might as well shave it as a precaution.
You're
Yeah,
just
it's
all
nice to
paranoid
wash the
now. Your
face.
fingernails and stuff. Watch out for that
man.
monkeypox, man.
No, this was a really really cool song to do, and we're stretching our artistic flexibility with the video production too, and learning new software, new green screen techniques, and that was a lot of fun. But when I was playing back the song to my wife and some of our family, it was definitely they saw that it was Linkin Park, reminiscent of Linkin Park, but I think we kind of made it our own too, and Kerry, how you structure the vocals and everything, and just the lead into it. I think that it had a little bit more of like our own footprint on the song, and I think that's the goal for me personally, is like I want to do a song or an artist or a genre justice, but I also want to create a little bit something different, a little bit something new that someone hasn't heard, but are still appreciative of those same artists, that same genre, those same songs. So I think we're getting closer and closer to doing that kind of thing. So it was a lot of fun, and I think it turned out well.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite developments in the song was originally there weren't as many rap parts. It was more singing, and then we decided to kind of alternate the phrases and the verses and stuff. And then it actually, but we did that thinking it was good for the song. But then when it came time to make the video, we kind of thought there might be like two sort of personalities talking to itself, of like the fear of dying, but also like just everything else. And so I thought it was cool, like two different alter egos kind of battling it out.
Yeah, I think what we were trying to portray, I mean, whether or not we did a good job of it, I can't attest to that. But what we tried to do was I wanted to have a part where like he's fresh in the doctor's office after getting the diagnosis. And then there's him like already 6 foot under. He's already gone through the whole dying, scenario. And now this is his life underground, sweat and dark and wet and, whatever. And then he's also picturing like maybe the in between, which is him like laying in a hospital bed, getting treatment. So I wanted to break it down into like these hypothetical situations. Cause if you get, I mean, I can't imagine getting a death sentence, or a terminal illness where you have to think about, the way things are going to work out, the way things are going to play out. It could be quite terrifying. And of course, Kyle and I, our father went through that, and we saw how that, it hit the family, and it takes a toll on so many people. But it's such a tragic situation. But we tried to bring a little bit of heart into something, like into the song, to express the emotions that you would feel in that situation. I feel like the lyrics, did a pretty good job at, sticking to that narrative that we had come up with. And then obviously we'd thrown around like Hoobastank, Incubus, Linkin Park. And I honestly feel like there's a little bit of that, especially Hoobastank, maybe not as much Incubus, but, when the way the song sounds, it kind of sounds like it's from the early 2000s. I think we kind of nailed that sonically, and I'm really proud of how the mix came out.
You could say we have Incubus's snare in there. I love the pop of that snare.
Yeah,
It's got that ring, that pop, almost like piccolo-y, but not quite. Just got that crack.
Yeah,
to
went
it.
for all rim shots
Yeah,
for the
I love
snare.
it.
So
Finally,
I love
I've been
it.
asking for a while. I've been wanting rim shots. It's so
It's
much
hard
better
to
because
be
the
consistent.
transient is so much taller in the recording, so it's way easier to gate it. It's way easier to clean it up and make it sound great. Because the impact is there. It's hard to get something with a medium impact to sound like it's got a huge impact. So that initial just hitting that rim shot is just rocket launches that transient, makes it just pop through the song. It's a lot easier to mix. I can tell you that much. I had no problems mixing the drums this time around.
It's so yeah, it's so funny, but like when I go down to like record a drum track to these songs, like I'm figuring out the drum track as I go through it and trying different things. And Carrie has mentioned like, hey, just do rim shots, but I forget about it. Honestly, I get lost in the song and I'm like, oh, I just got to come up with a drum part and do this fill or try that here, and I just forget to do it. So this time I made sure that it was the first thing I'm going to try is, make sure that this fucking snare cuts.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a paper cut.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nice. Nice. That's awesome.
So, what are we doing next after this one? where do we take it from
There's no
here?
time.
I don't know. I'm taking
That's
vacation.
the best
what
part
I'm
about
taking.
this is we don't. Yeah, right.
Take your vacation.
Exactly. I don't know, Angel, what do you want to see us do?
Oh man. I don't know. Now that you guys have some sort of rage going on and linking going on, maybe something like more
Hall and
reggae
Oates.
or ska. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Something
We've done a lot of
something
rock.
like,
the last,
it
the last
will
3 or
take
4 songs.
Little like Sublime
yeah.
Sublime influence.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, definitely.
I'd love to
kinda
do something like 21 Pilots.
Yeah. I was kind of like leaning more like No Doubt kind of style. You
No
got
Doubt.
a little ska with a little bit of reggae on it. Yeah. I mean, if you find, the perfect, combo to do it, but yeah, something that will bring that kind of era, when there was a little bit of more of that kind of music. What was it? No Effects, Less Than Jake, you had that kind of wild influence that was still on the rock and roll perspective. I think that would be kind of cool, unless you go more like way more reggae, like with a little hip hop on it. I don't know, but it would be kind of cool.
I feel like
to see.
311.
So that way you can
311
see
would
the
be a good
transition.
balance.
I was thinking
That would be
311.
epic. Yes, I saw them
Yeah.
at Innings, at the Innings Festival in Tampa. Man, that festival was so epic. I cannot wait for next year. There was 311, Incubus, Green Day. Oh my
wow.
goodness. Yes, it was Jimmy Eat World. I mean, I saw all those bands. It was fantastic, bro. So I mean, 311 that's a good choice. something like that.
Man, I would have to tighten my snares so much on that.
That's so true.
You might as well just
Yeah.
buy a new one.
Basically, just use a piece of plywood or something and just drum on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will be.
No,
that
I
will
love
be
that
pretty
snare
cool.
sound though. It just pops so much and it's so
It's
tight.
like a marching snare.
Yeah, you can hear every roll, like every articulation.
If you
in
breathe
that.
on it,
It's so
you can
crisp.
hear it.
Yep. So what's next for your songs, Angel?
Oh yeah. Good
Oh man,
question.
I don't know. I'm excited to what Carrie has put on together. I don't know when it's going to put out. Hopefully, I'll put it out this year. I mean, that's my intention to get the entire album done in 2022. But I will love to keep working with Carrie. We have a great connection on when I'm looking at something. A song or something that would be great. I will actually love to do, since we did Maniac, we'll love to do more 80s styles or 90s style songs and just kind of rebuild him, kind of like get into his mind and see what we can, accomplish with other covers. Like get something like really maybe in the low case, like maybe like Phil Collins or something, like different. I just went to
How about
see
some
Ario
Peter Gabriel?
Speedwagon.
In your eyes.
Hey, Peter
In
Gabriel.
your eyes.
Sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Oh,
There
such
you
a
go.
good song.
Yeah, like I went to see Ario Speedwagon, Loverboy, and Styx. Man, and those guys, bro, like that concert was epic. Like these guys are probably in their late 60s, early 70s, and they're still rocking. Like the keyboard player that sings for Styx, the guy's just turning the keyboard, like he's just all around. And I'm like, wow, I want to be like that guy when he gets to be in his 70s and still just
That's
kind of
Dennis, right?
jumping and
Dennis DeYoung?
I think his name is
name might
Dennis.
be- Dude, he is out of the world. Even Aria Speedwagon, they were kind of like engaging with the personality Loverboy too. Like I was like, and there's just all these people, and the people were like, it felt like like Woodstock, like 70s, kind of style. Everybody's like so
Tripping
like
balls.
cool about it. Yeah, but they're happy. I was in a different perspective, and I know there was a little bit more older people than me in there, but man, I had such a blast, and I was on the on the grass on general admission, and man, I had a blast because just seeing the people happy, and the band playing, their hearts out at their ages. I was like, wow. So yeah, I guess maybe bands like that bring him out and make more music out of that, make more covers out of that, and then just keep on the transition of bringing back the late 90s, early 2000s kind of music to the new age.
That really was our
to
golden
listen
age.
to good music. Yeah, that was the perfect, man. I will not change. Anybody ask me, hey man, would you like to be 20 years old now? I would be like, nah. I will just stay where I am.
in 30 years, we're
because
going to be like that guy that would never stop swearing that Elvis was the best artist who ever lived. Like
Yes.
stuck in our ways, don't want to listen to new stuff.
Yep. So, I mean, it would be awesome if we, like I told you guys, Mammoth WVH. I mean, I'm loving what this guy's doing.
Yeah.
I would love to see more transitional artists that actually use the music for the platform and not just a little bit of beep, beep, beep here, but they have a good band in the back. They're playing with instruments, man. We need that, bro. So, as long as I can, if Carrie gives me the torch to keep on going, I'm going to do it until get no more.
Yeah, that's the biggest tell though, is like when you go see a band live, that's the real test. Can they pull it off live?
Yeah.
We always talked about that when we went and decided to do certain songs. You're like, okay, yeah, we can. Well, not we, but they can play like every freaking instrument and do it. But can we do it all live and do it justice? And it was always impressive when we were able to pull off something like
I
that
signed
with the
myself up for
keyboard
that
and the
crap.
bass and the. Yeah, you did, but it was awesome, and everyone loved it. I mean, that not a lot of people are doing that, and really pulling it off. As musicians, I mean, we definitely crave that when we go and see another musician play, and we want to see them like, hey, yeah, wow, they're actually doing that. They're actually making that sound happen on stage live in front of you. That's nothing like it.
And another thing about live music, just seeing some of the live events that are happening still to this day with rock bands or stuff like that. Most of the rock bands are from the early days. Like there's nothing coming out new unless it's underground or like screamo or something like that that teenagers actually go to see. But most of the bands that you go and see, like in the Mid Florida Amphitheater here in the Tampa area, or you see in big venues like 98 Rock concerts or something like that, it's just bands from back in the day. It's either 80s bands, 90s bands, 2000 bands. There's nothing new coming out. And that's kind of like sad on that perspective, because the only thing, with no offense to any music industry out there, but the only things that people are going to see at big venues are like, pop artists like Shawn Mendes or Ariana Grande or something like that. And, not everybody is in those genres. So it's really sad to see that there's no more evolution into the perspective of the rock industry. And it's sad, man. We need more bands coming out of the ground these days that can actually continue that atmosphere.
It's definitely.
I see it. I see it a lot more. Sorry to. I just gotta real quick plug this, because I see a lot of this this happening in like the hardcore arena. There's a lot more focus on exactly what you're talking about, but it's a specific audience, right? I went to Furnace Fest last year with my buddy. It was for his birthday, and it was really special to see like all these people there of all ages. I mean, some people were there with their kids even watching some of these shows. And then there's also some of the shows are just extremely like, heavy, right? Yeah. So you don't want to go into the mosh unless you want to get, hit in the face. I mean, multiple times, but it's not all about that. And it was really cool to see that, but I'd like to see something similar happen, like what you're talking about in more of the traditional rock genre, where it's not those, headlining acts or, the rock fills where you basically have to sweat all day long to maybe get a decent glimpse of one band, and then you're just exhausted by the end of it. But it's all these bands that are coming back from, like you said, 15, 20 years ago. So we got to see more of that in the traditional rock genre. And I think COVID also, people coming out of that, yep, they're ready. They're ready for it. They want more shows, more live venues, more acts, more new bands. I think that it's primed.
Yeah. People are desperate for it.
We need the social aspect. We've been just in this cocoon, for like a couple of years. I mean, just being in that concert, I'm telling you, man, it was just fascinating, because live performance is completely different than just listening to it in the radio or on Spotify or something like that. It's just, you get that different kind of vibe. It just consumes you, and it's a lot of happiness as well in the perspective of the music,
Yeah, Jen and I,
especially being able to see it in like a small venue too. Like that's so cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say my wife and Jen, we went to a concert for a band called July Talk, and I'd never heard of them before, but they're really popular in Canada, and they're kind of pop and rock, but they're super like funky too, like really funky. And man, the show that they played was in like the gymnasium, or no, the theater, like on the other side of the gymnasium of a high school. Like we went in through like the cafeteria and like through these lines. There was like this little stage here on the side where like you could do a coat rack, hang your coats and stuff. But we go in, it's in the high school. It's like really small. Man, they just killed it. And it was the first show I'd been to in a while. And seeing another band, and it was so refreshing to see somebody with so much energy. And I ended up really liking the band more, like having already heard the music and thinking, they're okay, but I saw them live, and then when I listened to the music afterwards, it's so much better because I remember how much energy they put into it.
Yeah,
I was going to say too.
To give you a thought on it. Okay,
I was going to say, it's just nice. Like when we were all in lockdown, everybody had the internet, but all the internet is just people disagreeing. You go to something like a concert, it's just thousands of people all agreeing that this is a unified experience. It's a positive experience. Mm-hmm. You don't get that through the internet, unfortunately.
Not at all. And you know what? Thinking about it, when we went to Innings, my wife and I, we went and saw one of the opening bands that was in one of the stages, because they had two stages. It was called The Beaches, like the beach, like beach of Tampa stuff. They're actually from Canada. Oh. And I started following them. It's an all-girl band, but they got that kind of like Avril Lavigne, the Donnas, Kitty kind of style, all girls kind of band. And following them for some reason in Canada, I think Avril Lavigne had a tour over there, and they were the opening act of Avril Lavigne. Like, I think if there could be more bands, Bo, coming out of, like in the underground and starting, I think these bands like Avril Lavigne taking them by, the hand and trying to help them because their music are very kind of punk rock-ish style and helping them. I think if we could be able to, if the industry will be able to focus on finding some of these bands, if they're touring, like let's say Papa Roach is touring this summer, maybe they should try to find a small band that is coming up and trying to help them that has the same kind of music and then helping them carry on. So that way we have more bands coming on now and the music industry starts to continue to level. I think that's my thought seeing it from a band like the Beaches, that they did a great job in Innings. And just because I saw them for the first time because they came from Toronto, I was like, oh, I like their music. I should follow them. And all of a sudden they're opening for Avril Lavigne. And I'm like thinking about it right now. I was like, that is the right, example for it,
No, I agree. And I always make this reference of like, talking about like the comedy industry. It's been just exploding, and they have just this conveyor belt of new comedians that get taken under the wing of people that go on tour, and they're just dishing out, amazing talent one after another. And because of the podcasting, because of YouTube, there's this huge industry that they've dialed in for comedy. It's just thriving so well right now. And of course, their end goal is to get on Netflix and stuff like that. But even without that, YouTube has been a huge success for a lot of comedians. And the music industry is just lacking right now. Comedians, they pay,
it's lacking.
They pay for the venue. They pay for the camera crew, the director. They make their own special all on their own dime. And then they go out and sell it. And they just have a business model that hasn't been reflected with the label, because now you hear record labels and you just hear like all the horror stories of bands that, sell platinum albums and then have to pay to get their songs back. And they're always
like Taylor Swift.
They're always in debt to the labels and stuff like that. And it's such a negative thing. And like, movie stars make tons of money. They don't get, you don't hear about movie stars getting ripped off that much, but it's always about the music industry getting ripped off. It just needs a new model. And nobody's really figured it out yet. Indeed. Because right now the most successful thing is TikTok, Spotify, and all those things you can get for free. It doesn't make artists money.
Indeed. Not at all. And I think like, like producers and people like that, they could probably use the TikTok, the YouTubes, all those things to find new bands. Like if you are a manager or a producer or somebody that works for live performances for a big band, let's say like, Papa Roach, like I said, let's say Breaking Benjamin, or a big band that has been out for a long, long time and they've been in that big level, then it would be great if you're that kind of producer to kind of like, hey, let me see if I can find another YouTube artist that could be kind of like this and they have a good following, and maybe kind of like plug it in with this band and help them. So that way, they can start growing and the fan base of the rock and roll will still keep going up. I just don't see that these days. And it's a huge disappointment, man.
Yeah, isn't it mostly due to like the pay to play kind of scenario that's set up for musicians in concerts? I mean, sometimes those bands don't have say in who's gonna, come on tour with them and whatnot. So it's sad.
Yeah,
it is sad.
Well, we're at 25 minutes, so we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Angel, thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for the inspiration for the song. It's definitely one of my favorites for sure. And it came together really quick. I think the lyrics we had done that night of the interview, we had a pretty good, we had a pretty solid, we had a solid canvas to paint with pretty quickly. So Indeed. It turned out great. And we'll go ahead and reveal the music video and the song for everybody that's watching and listening.
That's awesome. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Angel.
See you.
live out this day
like it's not fading away.
Chaos just falls into place.
An organized disaster.
And I may never be here again.
Like a breath just caught in the wind.
An exhale just waiting to end.
And it's coming faster.
A close call has got me so wrapped up in the fear for my soul.
I don't wanna die for nothing. I haven't even lived for something. Something bigger than myself. And I don't wanna make it easy, 'cause I don't wanna feel incomplete. I can't do this for myself. A close call has got me so
Hypothetical. So tell me it's all just a dream.
hallucination starting to peak.
I can't hide from my energy.
This whole disaster.